What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the GOAT Show. Blake and I will be doing our top 25 rankings. So here we go. Coming in at number 25 for me, I have Syracuse. Syracuse is currently 3-0. They got a week 1 win, not just a win, but a dominant win over Louisville, 31-7. And then they toppled Purdue, which is a team I was pretty high on in the offseason. And I like what I see from this team. They got Virginia on Friday, and if they win this game, they're going to stay in my rankings. Blake, who do you have at 25?
Take at number 25, I have Miami, Florida. The reason I have them dropping this far is because their offense did not look good against Texas A&M after having all that hype. But I still feel like they're a top 25 team in the country, Tate. So I have them at number 25.
At number 24, I have the Utah Utes. They're coming off of winning at San Diego State. Utah, I'm going to give them a little bit more credit. Florida did just almost lose to South Florida, but it was a week 1 game and they were on the road. That's going to be tough for anyone, but they're at number 24 for me. Blake, who do you have at 24?
Tate at number 24, this is where I have Pitt. Pitt had a good win against Western Michigan over the weekend. The only loss is coming to that good Tennessee team. So I still have them in the top 25 at 24 Tate.
At number 23, this is where I have the Baylor Bears. Baylor still lost to BYU last week, and they only played Texas State this week, so I don't have them moving up that much. But Baylor's loss against BYU is going to be very bad when it comes around playoff time, because BYU just got smacked by Oregon. But this is where I have Baylor Bears at number 23. Blake, who do you have?
Tate, I have Wake Forest at number 23. They had a very close win against a Liberty team over the weekend. Now, I was shocked it was that close, Tate. But they have a big game against Clemson this weekend. I have an upset predicting coming this weekend from Wake Forest.
Can't wait.
I got Wake Forest at number 23.
At number 22, I have Birmingham Young University, BYU. They got smoked. It was embarrassing. Bo Nix, man, he looked amazing. Like I said, BYU is probably one of the best group of 5 teams, but they have Arkansas and Notre Dame on their schedule. So there's going to be some good games right there. But BYU's win against Baylor is what keeps them ahead of them, and that's why they're on my number 22 spot. Blake, who do you have at 22?
Tate at number 22. This is where I had Texas A&M. Texas A&M, even though they came out with the win, did not look too good against Miami, Florida over the weekend, Tate. I feel like they still have room to improvement, and they need to show improvement for me to move them up the rankings, Tate.
At number 21, this is where I have the Oregon Ducks. Last week they were not ranked in my rankings, but this week they proved why they should be. Bo Nix looked very solid. Bo Nix is a Heisman candidate when he doesn't play Georgia or Alabama, but when he plays Georgia and Alabama, he turns into Bo Picks. But this is a very solid all-around win for Oregon, and they're going to win their division in the Pac-12 because it's a pretty easy one. But all in all, Oregon's at number 21 for me. Blake, who do you have at 21?
Tate at number 21. This is where I have TCU. The reason I have TCU at number 21 is because I think they're going to be a sneaky good team in the Big 12 this year, Tate. They had a bye week this week. They have a hard matchup coming up against the SMU team that is underrated. I feel like TCU is going to shock people and get in that top 10 this year, folks.
Man, that is crazy. But you know what's even crazier? Florida State is back, baby. And coming in at my 20 spot, we got the Seminoles. Florida State looked very solid against Louisville. They overcame adversity when Jordan Travis got hurt, and they were able to pull out the win. I don't know how long Travis is out right now, but if they're able to keep winning games, they're going to be a surprise team in the ACC and could potentially make some upsets against NC State, Clemson, or even Wake Forest. I'm excited to watch this team. Blake, who do you have at 20?
At number 20, I have the Baylor Bears. They're sitting at 2-1 right now. They did beat beat Texas State pretty convincingly. I do like Blake Sharpen at quarterback, and I feel that the Baylor Bears are going to bounce back from that loss they suffered a week ago. Tape.
At number 19, I got the Spartans, man. Wow, that was embarrassing. I had a feeling it was coming. Penix dots Michigan State up every single time he plays them, and guess what he did? He dotted them up. I knew Michigan State's offense wasn't going to be able to keep up with the Washington's. I should have went with my gut, and I should have picked Washington. I had Washington in my previous top 25. And I should have went with my gut in that one. But Michigan State, if they don't get a secondary, they're going to be like 8-4 to 7-5 this year. That's a very embarrassing performance. But Blake, who do you have at number 19?
Take at number 19. This is where I have the Texas Longhorns. They played a very close first half against UTSA with their backup quarterback in. But in their second half, they were able to break it apart and stretch the lead out. I think they end up winning by 20. I have Texas at number 19 for me. Take.
At number 18, this is where I have the Hurricanes. They did not score one touchdown against Texas A&M. I feel like this squad has become very overrated. Josh Gaddis, the offensive mastermind, put up 0 points, man. That's just terrible. It shows that Michigan last year, I mean, maybe their talent was just better than Miami's. But Miami is 2-1 right now, and their wins against Bethune-Cookman and Southern Miss, where they didn't even look that good. But Miami, they could have fallen even farther in my rankings. But I hope they surprise me. I really do, because I don't want the team. But Blake, who do you have at number 18?
Take at number 18, this is where I have the Florida Gators. They had a very scary week this week. It just barely edging out USF. Florida doesn't have an identity yet. They don't know what they are, but I feel like they're gonna be able to figure out in the weeks to come, and still be a powerful team in the SEC.
They got a big game this week. They play Tennessee this week.
It's gonna be a good.
The last 6 meetings, Florida has won, and this is where game day is gonna be at this week. So it's gonna be a good one.
It's gonna be a good one.
Now we're moving on to number 17. This is where I have the Texas Longhorns. It was 17-17, something like that at halftime. And then Card, man, he came out and showed him why Texas is back. Texas is back, baby. Their defense looked amazing. Texas is actually a sleeper in the Big 12 as well. I mean, Baylor already lost. Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, they play each other, so they're going to have a loss. But, man, if Quinn Ewers is able to come back, they're going to be very solid. Blake, who do you have at number 17?
Take at number 17, I have the Washington Huskies. The reason I have this team at number 17 is they had a very impressive win against Michigan State, where they trounced them. Michigan State was able to come back a little bit, but overall, Washington looked very impressive and a team to watch this year for the rest of the season. Tate.
At number 16, I have an underrated team. I have the Ole Miss Rebels. Their win against Troy is actually looking pretty decent since Troy almost beat App State. They lost on a Hail Mary. That was very crazy. But Ole Miss absolutely smoked Georgia Tech this week. And they looked more impressive winning this game than Clemson did a couple weeks ago. But Blake, who do you have at number 16?
Okay, at number 16, this is where I have the Utah Utes. The Utah Utes had a very solid win against San Diego State over the weekend. I do like Ryson as their quarterback. I feel like he's bounced back very well after his week 1 loss in Gainesville against the Florida Gators. And I just feel like he's going to improve and try to battle with USC for the Pac-12 championship. Tape.
At number 15, people called me crazy for having Washington ranked last week. But look what happened, man. Michael Penix just absolutely dotted up that Michigan State defense. Like I said before, I knew it was coming. I knew it. Washington, I had them 8-4 in my preseason predictions, but now I have them at like 9-3 or 10-2. This team looks very solid on both sides of the ball. But the offensive side is looking very solid this year, and I have them at number 15 for me. Blake, who do you have at 15?
Tate at number 15. This is where I put the Oregon Ducks at. The Oregon Ducks had a very big win over the BYU Bears over the weekend. I like the Ducks. Bo Nix is improving. I just feel like Tate said, if he ain't playing Bama or Georgia, Bo Nix is a very solid quarterback.
At number 14 is a team I am high on this year. I got the Gophers at number 14. They really haven't played anyone this year, but I was high on them at the beginning of the year. I mean, I had Nebraska winning the West, which is kind of embarrassing at this point. But Minnesota, they got Abraham back. Tanner Morgan's in. He's a veteran. They've looked very good. They have a game against Michigan State this week. And if they win that game, they definitely deserve to be ranked in the AP pool. Blake, who do you have at number 14?
Tate at number 14, this is where I have Ole Miss at. Ole Miss, I feel like it's just getting overlooked because the SEC is so strong again this year. And I just feel like if they were in a different conference, as you said, they would probably win that conference. So, I have Ole Miss at number
Next up,
14.
at number 13, I have the Volunteers. I actually like this team a lot. I had them beating Pitt. I called that. Last week they played Akron, which is why I don't really have them moving up. They didn't play a really top school. Akron lost to Michigan State by 52, so you can kind of see why. But Tennessee has looked very solid. I won't be surprised if they end up cracking the top 10. But for now, I'm going to have them at number 13. Blake, who do you have at 13?
Tate at number 13, this is where I have Arkansas. Arkansas had a very scary win against Missouri State over the weekend. It was very close to the end. KJ Jefferson did come out and pull out the win for him. I think they came up with the win by 2 touchdowns at the end, Tate. Close call, but good win by Arkansas.
At number 12, I know, I've been talking bad about them for all year. They're the only one-loss team I have in the top 15. Texas A&M. Now, they are a contender in the SEC, but they got to get their stuff together, and I feel like they did defensively. The defense has looked pretty solid all year. Offense, they do need to work on the offense, but that win against Miami was very impressive. I mean, it was only an 8-point win, but after Miami's offense was supposed to be a top 5 offense and didn't even allow them to score a touchdown, that was very impressive by A&M. They have better wins than most of the people I have behind them, and it was a very solid win for them. Blake, who do you have at number 12?
Tate at number 12, this is where I have the Kentucky Wildcats. Kentucky played Youngstown State over the weekend, and I think they pitched a shutout, 31-0. Will Levis looks very good, and they're trying to get that chase down Bama and Georgia for an SEC title shot, Tate.
Coming in at number 11, I got the Razorbacks. I'm getting really sick and tired of people saying, like, how bashing on other teams about how they don't play anyone. And most of these people are SEC fans. But when Arkansas plays an FCS school and is down for 3 quarters, they're silent. They don't say nothing. But next week, if Big Ten plays like a low FBS school, we're going to hear it. They're going to say, oh, well, you guys won't play them. But Arkansas played in FCS school and they barely won. But Arkansas is a very solid team in my opinion. I do have them in my top 15. But they're number 11 for me. But Blake, who do you have at number 11?
Tate at number 11, I have NC State at number 11. They played a very decent Texas Tech team and beat them, I think, by 2 scores. NC State's a underrated team in the ACC, and they could be a sneaky favorite to win the ACC this year, Tate. I got high hopes on the NC State.
We are entering our top 10. Number 10 in the AP poll that's where they have Arkansas at. Number 10 for me, I have a SEC school. I have Kentucky. Kentucky just came off a win against Youngstown State, but their win against Florida was more impressive than Arkansas's win against Cincinnati. And Kentucky, Will Levis, he's good, but he turns the ball over a lot. And I feel like if you are doing that, I know they played Georgia this year. If you do that, you're losing by at least 30. He has to make smarter decisions when he's throwing. But Will Levis is, on the other hand, like without the turnovers, he's like one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC. But Kentucky is number 10 for me. Blake, who do you have at 10?
Tate at number 10. This is where I have the Penn State Nifty Lions. Man, they really impressed me this weekend, Tate. They went down to Auburn and kicked the crap out of them. They won 41-12. Big Ten power. Penn State number 10. Penn State's number 10 for me, Tate.
Coming in at number 9 in the AP pool and in my pool, we both have Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State played like Arkansas Pine or something like that, but they won. But Oklahoma State really hasn't played a fair opponent. And the only reason I have them this high is because they were very solid last year. But I want to be shocked if Oklahoma State is not as good as people think. But Blake, who do you have at number 9?
Tate at number 9. This is where I have the Tennessee Volunteers at. They absolutely destroyed Akron last weekend. And Tennessee is becoming a fun team to watch in the SEC this year, Tate. So I have Tennessee at number 9.
Like we said earlier, they got a big matchup against Florida this week, a team that they have not been able to beat in the most recent years. So it's going to be a good one and down in Knoxville. At number 8 in the AP pool, they have Kentucky. At number 8 for me, this is where I have Clemson. Clemson is coming off a 48-20 win against Louisiana Tech. Like, I've been on this defense for quite a while now on how good they are. But I don't know. I'm getting second thoughts about their defense. Like I said with their offense, DJ Uiagalelei is not that guy. They need to start Cade, and if they start Cade, they're going to be probably the best in the ACC. But I don't think Dabo Swinney's going to make that move, and I think they're going to stick with Uiagalelei. But Blake, who do you have at number 8?
Tate at number 8. This is where I have the Oklahoma State Cowboys. The reason I have them this high is same as you. They're really solid last year. They really haven't played any team that they need to play to show us they're good, you know?
Yeah.
So I have Oklahoma State sitting right outside my top 5 at number 8.
Number 7 in the trash pool is USC. Just such a bad pool, man. Number 7 for me. I've had them in my top 10 all year. People saying they're not top 10, but Penn State is number 7 for me. They got a win against Purdue. They went down to Auburn, absolutely mollywopped them. I knew it was coming. Singleton looked absolutely amazing. Very, very solid. He is fast, man. It was such an entertaining game. They play Central Michigan this week. I expect a blowout. But Penn State is the third best team in the Big Ten, like I said before the season started. Blake, who do you have at number 7?
Tate at number 7. This is where I have the Clemson Tigers. The Clemson Tigers have not looked impressive to me at all this season. They still yet to play a team with any decent caliber. They do play Wake Forest this weekend, and that should be a good one. But I have Clemson number 7, and they're going to stay there until they show me they're better than 6 other teams ranked ahead of them. Tate.
At number 6, once again, in all 3 of our polls, we all got Oklahoma. But Oklahoma just absolutely steamrolled Nebraska. Nebraska, I don't like you. I'm never picking you ever again. I'm going to pick against you every single week. Every single week. But Oklahoma looked very impressive. Once again, they're at number 6 in the AP pool. The 5 teams ahead are just a little bit better, but Oklahoma's catching up. Because after that game, that was a very impressive performance by Oklahoma. But Blake, you wanted to go on about Oklahoma?
Tate, I as you said, I have Oklahoma at number 6. Like, in my opinion, 3 through 6 could be interchangeable in my rankings. It's just very hard to rank 3 through 6, Tate.
Number 5 in the trash pool, they got the Tigers. Trash pool, man. Number 5 for me, this is where I have Alabama. Like I said, Alabama could easily be 2-1 right now if Quinn Ewers started. They're not going to go up for beating UL Monroe. But man, Alabama, if they become disciplined, I think they're going to be in the playoffs this year. If you guys haven't, go check out my recent post. But Alabama is 10 at number 5 for me. Blake, who do you have at 5?
Okay, at number 5, this is where I have the UFC Trojans. I have the UFC Trojans at number 5 because I just don't know how good their defense is. Because going up against these small teams, their defense could look a lot better than what it actually is. I don't really have any worries on the offense side of the ball for them, but I'm scared on the defense side of the ball for them.
At number 4 in the AP pool, they have Michigan. But for me, this is where I have the Trojans. Like you said, on the defensive side of the ball, they're not there right now. Offensive side, they're probably a top 3 offense in the nation. But if USC is able to get a couple stops each game, they're going to win every single game. The hardest game is at Utah, and if they win that game, they're winning the Pac-12. But for me, USC's looked very solid. The only question mark is the defense right now. But Blake, who do you have?
At number 4, I have the Michigan Wolverines. Michigan looked impressive against UConn, mollywomping them. I have Michigan at number 4 because they're still yet to be tested against anyone. They have a decent game coming up, a conference game against Maryland this weekend. So it's going to show us a little bit how good this Michigan team really is.
Number 3 in the AP pool is where the Buckeyes are at, and that is also where I have them at. They are coming off a pretty impressive win against Toledo, 77-21. They look like the Ohio State team last year in this game. Toledo's offense is actually pretty solid. The quarterback was going absolutely ballistic. He was running all over him, delivering darts. But anyway, the OSU secondary is what worries me. I feel like they're kind of slow and they get beat quite a bit. But Ohio State's offense, they looked very solid. They have a very big game this week. They're wearing the blackout jerseys, and they take on Wisconsin. It's a home game, but this is a good test for Stroud as they play the Wisconsin defense. Wisconsin's defense is pretty solid. It was top 3 last year. I'm gonna go with top 20 this year in terms of defense. But yeah, Ohio State is number 3 for me right now. Blake, who do you have at 3?
Tate, I also have the Ohio State Buckeyes at number 3. They, like you said, had a real good win against Toledo last weekend. They have a hard game against Wisconsin at home this weekend. So I can't wait for it to all play out. I got the Buckeyes at number 3, Tate.
At number 2, the AP pool has Alabama. At number 2 for me, I got the Michigan Wolverines. You can make the argument with the strength of schedule and how they haven't played an opponent, but they've done their job. They've blown out everyone. Some teams, like Arkansas, for reference, they were losing to Missouri State, an FCS school. Iowa didn't even score a touchdown on an FCS school. But they do have one of the easiest schedules this year, and like Blake said, it will be a test this year. Not this year, but this game against Maryland. Maryland's 3-0. I feel like that's going to test Michigan's secondary. Last year against Maryland, they won 59-3. I don't expect them to win by that much because I feel like Maryland's improved a lot. But Michigan, they're coming in at number 2 in my pool. Blake, who do you have at 2?
Tate, at number 2, this is where I have Alabama. I can't really see a team right now I can confidently say will beat Alabama head-to-head on a neutral field right now. So I have Alabama at number 2. Tate?
At number 1, this should come as a shock to no one. Me, Blake, and the AP pool all have Georgia. Georgia just beat the crap out of South Carolina. They beat the crap out of Oregon, and then they played their third stringers against Hanford. Georgia is just like on another tier right now than other teams. The only hard game Georgia really has this year is at Kentucky. They do play Florida, but they have that game at home. Georgia is just so good. Stetson Bennett, he's more confident than ever right now. And the Georgia defense is even better than last year. But I'll let you add some stuff, Blake.
Yeah, ain't much to talk about. Georgia is the top team in college football as of right now. I don't think anyone really challenges them. But Georgia at number 1.
Yep, they play Kent State this week, at Missouri the next week, Auburn, Vandy, and they don't really have a test until Florida. The only way I could see them losing, though, is they do have a 4-game stretch against Florida, Tennessee, at Mississippi State, and at Kentucky. They might lose one of those games, but the chances of that is probably 0. That is our final top 25 rankings. Comment your top 5 in the comments. Goat Show out.
Peace out, Goat Show.